Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing our lovely Raise the Pass deck. We made quite a bit of changes, not necessarily if we think is for the better or the worse, but we definitely want to try out some things. And these decks have been kind of floating around a bit more, not necessarily the variation we play, but a variation that's more Orzhov based, or some Esper kind of variants have come up. I think Covert Go Blue just played it on the actual official Magic the Gathering arena page. Didn't have the Starscape Cleric stuff in there, so there's definitely changes all around, so we might as well try to flex out and see what we can find in the deck that makes it worth playing all these changes. One thing that we've kind of queued up into is starting to play the Gnawing Vermin. This is a card that can just mill us blindly, and that's good, but the main reason I'm playing it now is I think if we're playing this one, we kind of have to be playing the Dewdrop Cure. I also call this Dew Point throughout like the entire video. As you can see, I even named the deck that. I don't know why I thought it was called that, but that's what I called it for the longest time instead of just reading the card. It's wild. Magic players reading is tough. But return up to 2 target creature cards with each mana value 2 or less from the graveyard. So essentially our Raise to Pass, but with limitation. If we give our opponent a card, we can bring up to 3, so we get to kind of choose what we think is best. Outside of that, we use Raise to Pass to do essentially the same thing, but it brings all the creatures back with value 2 or less. So for 1 more mana and no card given, we can cast Raise to Pass. It is a little bit harder to cast being 2 white, but oftentimes that might not come up. It does come up every now and then, especially in like an Esper style deck, but if you're an Orzhov, this probably will never come up to being a issue. Outside of that, the deck list is kind of the same as what you would expect from a deck list of this style that I've been posting lately, but we don't have the Wail of the Forgotten in, which I bring up quite often throughout the video, where I think it would be best, or where I think like having that card would be really nice to have in the deck over maybe like a Dewdrop Cure or something like that, especially whenever you get the kind of the Send 8 mode on. Outside of that, we're milling ourselves a ton, and our win condition is Starscape Cleric with our 7 life gainers. Or if opponents put in a Screaming Nemesis, which does happen, we just have to hit them. We don't have a Malia, we don't have the bat that gets bigger with the life gain, so we have to kind of do it the hard way, which may or may not happen as I'm bringing it up. Other than that, this is probably going to be a shorter video today, a little bit snappier. I'm really rushed today. The power went out last night during uploading, and throughout the video you'll see I bring up the fact that I got text mid video that my Spectrum internet came back, which was very cool. So that was fun. It was already back as I was playing online, but like I said, that's gonna do it. Let's go ahead and dive into the games, see how they go. Opponent goes first. All right, it's like pretty solid. The hand kind of opening with this is pretty good, and we have 2 white, so we should be fine. Against mono red, now we can start off with less painful mana base. But yeah, we'll play Gorehound. We'll go for probably Sadistic, unless they don't put a lot of pressure on board, then we'll probably opt for the Picklock, because it does do more cards, and we are kind of missing a couple of pieces. Here, blocks. Can't really afford to block right now, I think. Definitely want to block a little bit later when it's a little bit more relevant. Picklock, I feel like it's definitely the answer now. Maybe just putting a Death Toucher in play is almost good enough. Kind of drive to that, considering now they have like to worry about this. 21 lands, we have 5 already. Not really a great chance of that happening, but that's okay. Do you have a Trampler that'll be a problem, and this is a Witchstalker Frenzy? Didn't really have anything last time, so we throw a block here and hope they have nothing now. Down to 12. Definitely in a spot, that's for sure, and a lot of creatures for them. Fire this off. See if we hit anything good. We miss entirely. 15 cards deep, and we've hit neither a Dew Point nor a Raise to Pass. Could definitely happen, that's for sure. I mean, well, I guess it's just a prowess creature. Force them to have Monstrous Rage, right? Well, They drew it, or they definitely would have cast it last turn to save their Paul Patrick route. I feel like there's a world in which they don't do that. Get a scry at least. Autumn. Take a treasure. There's a dew point. Do we have enough to save us here? Kind of have to give them a card. You know, I don't necessarily like giving people extra cards. Always feels kind of bad to me. Especially against aggro, who plays burn spells, obviously. But we'll gain quite a bit of life here. Feel pretty good about it. Archaeologist is not what we want. Vermin is not what we want. Now I guess I can just play the Picklock, because I do get a scry off of it. Or surveil, I guess, which is just as good almost. But I also get 3 extra toughness here. Pilgrim goes away. Found 1 in our top 20. Looking for a second. Screaming Nemesis. Obviously no blocks on Nemesis. We have to just let that hit. Not even a choice. I guess block this. Vermin. Okay. Okay. Do I play Picklock or do I play Vermin? Interesting choice, that's for sure. There's that. Need to gain life. No matter which way I cut it. I go for this, I guess. And we have to just the worst part is of all this, we have to just let the Screaming Nemesis hit, which typically means they just put a burn spell on it. We can't win it all. Which is obviously tough, but a land draw is not great. I know the time's up and they have to attack, so put like 5-ish toughness in front of there, put a little bit more toughness over here, and we call it a day. Again, this doesn't have trample actively, and this has prowess, so even if they were to give this trample, like, have a little bit of ways to get around it. Things can veil a counter. You see, like, the Swift Spear now gets prowess, and we come away with the victory. Very cool. I don't even know what our graveyard had in it. I know it was pretty juiced overall. To look at it. Sure, I had a great time. Please let me look. But yeah, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's not even that juiced. I thought it was a little bit more juice than that. But I guess we're about to put, like, what, 3 more creatures in there? 4 more creatures in there? Depending on what maybe that last card was, but we'll move on. Well, are we able to keep this? I'm not entirely sure. A lot of painful mana. We do have a raise to pass, but on the draw, this is fine. There's 2. We get 6 cards in the graveyard. Kind of trying to figure out whether it's worth it or not. I mean, no, I think we can maul. Yeah, this is much better. More than I think we need to maul. We definitely should maul. I get rid of Picklock here just because with a Gorehound and these creatures and how aggro the meta is, I feel like just keeping the creature that I can play, mill, and use as a blocker feels better. More often than not, but our opponent first, they did keep. Okay. Alright, we're in the mirror. I go for Gorehound, Sanctifier, Vermin. Like an okay play. Then I get the mill started. No attack from them. Okay, well, they're aware. Thanks, Fisher. Good. It also gives us 2 scries to try to find a land. Go over, miss, and a miss, thankfully. Perfect. Exactly what we wanted to happen. I could have attacked. I guess I have menace. A little bit of a mistake by me, of course. Now what's the play? The card to dodge is Deep Cavern Bat. Whenever we finally find a raise to pass, they find a vermin. Amalia in play. Amalia is not as scary as some other creatures we might find floating around. One that comes to mind to me is the one that can get flying if they take a damage. Well, I'll take one of those. Now Deep Cavern Bat's an option. I will also keep the dew point on top, because if Deep Cavern Bat does come in, I'm going to be much happier about where I kind of stand here. We just hold. I get plenty of blocks on Amalia anyway, so it's fine. If they double attack, I block with Vermin and then the Sanctificer. Dew point can bring back like Archaeologist, Cleric, and the Freebooter or something like that. Kind of float about. Now they're also a dew point deck that most likely is getting put in the bin. Maybe see a second creature here. Archaeologist, sure. It is going to kind of be one of those weird games where it's not necessarily who blinks first, but it's like who kind of gets... Someone will do it first, and if the second player lives, then most likely the follow-up will be more devastating than what they're doing. We'll have to see, obviously. Not a gold guarantee. Attack. Okay. Well, definitely think gifting a card here makes sense by going here, here, and here. Maybe this isn't worth it, but when we have the scry that we want for a land, I think it is, and we just milled over 3. That is tragic for sure. The first time around it was good. I was pretty pumped because I was like, oh, it worked out perfectly. But we milled over 3 white sources even, which is definitely what we need to kind of pull this game out right now. Yeah, we're in the staring contest currently. We have 2 really good blockers in Vermin and Freebooter. They put a life gainer in play. They don't have a drainer, so if they do it, there's a very good chance that it's put Molly up to 20 at this point, blow up the whole board, and then go from there. Yeah. And I'm just going to die to that. Pretty positive anyway. How many life gain do they have? Amalia is more likely than not hitting 20. If they put the top... Okay. They leave the card on top and go through that game plan. I'm conceding. Okay. Well, maybe they won't do it. I guess they only need like 11. Like, I feel like this game plan is pretty easy. It's definitely just leave on top, gain all the life, have Amalia go above 20, and then one-shot me. Do they do it or not? Just going to do it for them. They have so many. I think it's just going to happen naturally regardless what they do. I don't think, barring even a land draw, I mean, this game's over. We're not going to wait for them to figure out that they should just leave the card on top with Amalia and then blow up the board and one-shot me. Clearly, like, not trying to be rude, but they clearly didn't see the play. They're just staring at the top card. But yeah, with all this life gain, you just leave one creature up here or whatever. I understand going for a raise to pass, but the game's over. You don't have to. When this hits 20, you destroy all the creatures with power. If it's exactly 20, this ability will happen before the rest of the triggers resolve. Every creature on the board dies, and then you just keep the extra card on top. This goes to however many you need. I'm at 21, so it'll be at 20. One more trigger is definitely there, and then it'll be big enough just to hit me and kill me. But opponent goes first. We have life gainers, raise to pass, archaeologist that we can't cast, and a freebooter. So sure, I suppose. I have to obviously draw a land somewhere at some point. Okay. Red. So thankfully we kept the life gainers, and we do draw a land, including a blue land, which is really nice. Play Sanctifier, even though it's vulnerable to removal, but it's the way to gain the most life here, because then we lead into this, and then this can freely block. Obviously Sanctifiers can also block, but We don't really want to do that until we're about to cast Raise the Past, because if we just keep drawing creatures, we want to kind of hold up on that. Alright, well. Going to gain more than 4 life, and I think the answer is no. 1, 2, 3, we'll go to 19. I mean, I guess this will make a Raise the Past token, right? Yeah, so I suppose, or not Raise the Past token, it'll make a treasure token for Raise the Past. The problem is will we have kind of enough to go off of? I think that answer is no. We could have went with the Death Toucher there, but Double Strike is a keyword that card possesses. If we draw a land, then my plan is probably go Pilgrim into Archaeologist after we kind of let this Freebooter go. Monster Trade is definitely a card. If they Monster Trade a small one, I'll be really mad. It just never makes sense to me. They let these just bounce off each other and deal your 11 damage, you know? A second Raise the Past, huh? Problem is, I just don't think it's good enough. I just don't think there's a world in which we win. This is one of the reasons I hate not playing with Wail the Forgotten. It's just so hard to like keep up in a spot like this. We have to play this and we have to play the Archaeologist. I don't think there's any other way we can grind out of this game. We honestly hope Archaeologists miss. I'm actually going to decline because I want more toughness. It's essentially 1 more life point, which is obviously tough, but it just is what it is. This, maybe? Yeah, we have the Raise the Past. They don't. They're stuck on 2 lands, it seems. Which is like both a good thing and a bad thing for us. If we had a little bit more going on, we feel pretty good, but don't. Lightning Strike that down, sure. Is that enough? It's close. It is pretty close. We're exactly at 3. Thankfully, we do this. We have a lot of life gainers in here, so we're gonna gain quite a bit of life overall. I mean, up to 23 by quite a bit of life. I would argue that's a lot for sure. Only problem is now with the Heartfire Hero, we are on the clock because it's going to be a 6/6 double striking creature. So a lot of things happen in which that becomes like really, really threatening. 2 Raise the Past are already gone. If we want the Freebooter down, and that toughness is the most we can kind of absorb without going overboard. Sure. Have anything good in there? We're able to live 1 more turn. 1 spell feels pretty kind of lethal here. So I think I go for Pilgrim into like gain a lot of life here. Maybe I could have attacked with the Pilgrim, I guess. Really, I don't think there's ever a world in which they block. And then, so I gain like 4, and then we just kind of pass here. We do essentially the same thing. This is the epitome of why I don't like playing without Wail the Forgotten, because if we just had one of those, we put this back in hand, and then everything just feels like good, you know? Well, it doesn't really matter. Just throw 6 or whatever in front of that, and just throw this over here, I suppose. You just hope to live. Not all we got. Monster Trades there is not as big of a buff as it might seem, but it's 18-ish overall. Is that enough? Oh no. Lose a little life here, but sure. It's close, but Lightning Strike not available. There's a Gorehound, which is better to play post-combat, but I don't actually know if that one... we have a Gorehound in there. So it's definitely better to play post here then. The Raise the Past comes up. Now, we are off, I guess. All this life to gain up to 43. This is why Arena does not like putting you against this deck. The aggro deck anyway. I'll have to find, I play against aggro a bit until I don't. It's like one of the weird things. The cleric. I could have left it on top, but I'll leave the dew point. And then I'll play this with my last little treasure here. We'll gain 4 more. Now we're all the way up to 50 some, almost. And just like that, I mean, it turns table a lot. Screaming Nemesis, obviously no blocking that. Missed land drop for them for about an hour, so we're fortunate enough there. The Screaming Nemesis hasn't been allowed to just attack freely. The worst part is, do I just take 16? I think I do, because I think my attack back is just so much more lethal. Actually, this, I think, right? This is 5, and then I bring back the yeah, I think it's actually best. Then I bring back Pilgrim Cleric, and that should do it because of the damage that that'll do. They're taking 5 here, even if it wasn't technically enough before, or it could be enough anyway. Gift a card, we'll do this, and then we grab another Pilgrim because they'll all deal damage whenever they leave, but they'll also all see the Cleric enter and gain the life. So as we'll see here, 20 triggers on the stack. Pilgrim enough is going to get it done, but they leave the battlefield, they all do damage on the way out. It deals an additional like 4. As you can see, all that extra life gain there, and we close out the game. Very cool. Oh boy. Well, we maul and we keep this. The hand's like fine unless we don't find anything. Honestly, I think it's probably the double vermin if we have like the scry. Rest, that does nothing. Very cool. Now do we play vermin first? Oh, we find the last land too. I think I go vermin first because I believe removal will be in order, and especially with that last land hit, I think we're perfectly fine just barreling. But I think this is going to get removed by a removal spell. At least I thought. Oh, it's Reanimator. Okay. Alright, well. I'm okay with drawing lands as if in return that means I'm putting like non-lands in the graveyard outside of obviously our reanimate stuff. Kill ourselves first. Raise the passes in there. Another vermin. We'll throw that away. And then we just kind of hope to not hit a land here, I guess. We're already up to 6. Is pretty high, I would say. 7. Yeah, I would argue it's high when we play 21. But, you know, I didn't think our hand at 3 lands was going to turn out this way, or I would have maybe kept a little differently. I would have just threw every land to the bottom and just called it a day. Well, I would say show us Reanimate Valgavoth and we'll move on. Yep, that's all I need to see. Considering our hand is just full of lands, we hit 7 for 5, 6, whatever. But it is what it is. It happens. Well, funny enough, talking about recording this, my internet provider just messaged me and said, hey, your internet's back. And I'm like, well, it's been back for at least 45 minutes because I've been recording for a while. Our opponent's first. We'll keep this. We have a Dewdrop at worst case, so we're able to just kind of mill. See how it goes. We have aggro once again. Can we pull off what we did last time? And I'm unsure. We do have a good blocker here to do so. Kill ourselves. Fortunate. That's one of the only things not playing just Raise to Pass that I played like way long ago. Is like you kind of have the downside of so here's a cool trick. We block here. No need to block the 1-drop because when this dies, we'll take it out anyway. Could have taken out the challenger, but taking the damage away from that also feels pretty good. Definitely needing more black sources with a hand like this, but we'll play Archaeologist. Okay, well, at least you're a 1/4, I guess. But what I was getting to when it comes to like cards like this or sorceries or non-creatures, I guess, overall, is like the more you play, the mills feel slightly worse in a situation like this where, yeah, we milled over a creature and this, and then it's died, and then we milled 3 lands, so now we're just stuck in this weird situation. Archaeologist is gone, which we feel pretty okay about considering the challenger hasn't quite got big enough to be issue. I guess I just put the life gainers in play, and then if I have to Dewdrop next turn, I will. Sure. Or do I just play this because I want to block with that and get the scry? Oh, no, I put the life gainers in because whenever I bring them back, it feels much better. But there's like a situation where we want to draw a land. We also want to draw like Raise the Pass or just good threats. Screaming Nemesis is the scary card of choice here. Or we don't want to see. They're going to give their hero haste. They are. Okay. Just attacking. Okay. So hero is a threat, but I think the challenger is more annoying in the long run. I could be wrong on this decision. All right, we do hit the land. That's good. That's very good. So now I can commit more to the board and just playing both of these because of how that went. Or I can Raise the Pass, but I don't really want to give them a card now. They're kind of cluttering out, and I feel like giving them a card now is just worse, right? Play this and let's play this. We'll just do this as a last resort type thing. We'll look to have the Pilgrim take out the hero. Freebooter will just jump in front of the Swift Spear. If they both have to jump in front of the hero, they will. Just to do the damage. See, they're hitting lands. If I do get the Pilgrim off the battlefield, though, I will feel a little bit better about gifting them a card. It's just like the opposite is not necessarily true. This is now getting too large, I think. So I have to do this. Whereas before, like, if their only plan was to do this over and over, then sure. Dewdrop number 2. I think that's okay. I think. Just because of where we're at. But they will be getting a card here. I think I have to at this point. So this and this. And a little life, create a barrier here. To 15, put a Death Toucher back in play. Now they're up to 2. I mean, the argument could have been just like put in a Pilgrim and the Archaeologist, but then you kind of run into that problem of like, well, I guess this is also possible too, right? Okay, my bad, buddy. Well, the card of choice is here. Obviously, we have no qualms with that hitting. That is just allowed to do its thing. Well, now what do we do? Do I give them another card just to bind cards? I think it has to be, right? I just don't think I have a choice. Maybe I'm wrong. Been wrong before and I'll be wrong again. And I want to flood here a bit. The vermin trigger should happen first. Alright, we didn't put a Raise the Pass in there. Get 4 scries here to bend things to hopefully find one, and we do. I don't even have a drainer yet, right? So basically the plan is just gonna have to be hopefully do enough damage that like, or put enough on the board that I can do enough damage. Or gain enough life that like I can block effectively while also just trading out. Second Screaming Nemesis, pretty good. Be kind of hard to beat, like we said. Playing Nemesis before activating this on the challenger is a little bit of a mistake. Did they already play a land from hand? No. Alright. Well, maybe they don't have a land, which could definitely be an option. Just one Nemesis attacking. Okay. You know what's on top? They do not. Allow it. Kind of afraid to keep attacking here. Can do things to fuel in our graveyard a bit before we do this. So we can attack with these. And they might think that this is a mistake, but because these have menace and they're only 1 power, we can throw them, like, we can have it hit the Swift Spear. It doesn't ever have to hit the Screaming Nemesis. Although the auto damage might try to. Nothing hits the Nemesis, nothing happens. We just lose a creature. Get a little bit of damage in. Do a little bit of damage across. Then we just go for Raise to Past. Because when one of the Gorehounds are gone, whenever it enters the battlefield, the other one will see it, so we will get a little bit more value there. Alright. No life gain here to happen. So it is just going to be an all-out fight now. Okay. Kill ourselves. Life to be gained, which does happen occasionally, which is like one of the weird things that happens in this deck, because like you would think like this matchup would be bad because they play Screaming Nemesis a lot, and like typically it is. There's been a lot of cases like this where like they never get to burn it or something because we're just a turn too fast. We just haven't found the drainer yet, and Raise to Pass is good because we have a way around this. And now they're just not going to be able to attack me as efficiently, and with a Pilgrim in play, like I'll just go for the drain and gain route. Don't necessarily need to do much else. If they want to realistically close the game, they'll have to figure something out with the Screaming Nemesis, or they'll just have to attack me. Alright, let's play 3 of them. Why not? Not only in their top 20 and they're fighting the best card against me, but that's okay. See it, dude. See how it goes. Still afraid to attack. Pilgrim will go here. Am I willing to take 3? I think I am. I don't think you matter as much. I'm gonna block with the menace creatures. I don't want to do this. Like, what if I block like... If I just block like this? Nah, that doesn't make any sense. If I block like this, they kill this, and then this lives, so then I won't be able to drain anything. So let's do this. Might as well remove it. This. So I'll get shot for 3, and then I can do 2 to something here. Where will the 3 go? Are they going face? I feel like they're a little bit threatened for their life total here, but maybe I'm wrong. To decide if the creatures matter enough, they go face. Sure. 1, 2. Take their card draw away a turn. Raise to Pass on top. We already know. Other card draw engine's a little bit worse, of course. And they pump that. That makes sense to me. Raise to Pass in the hand. I mean, we definitely have enough creatures on the back end to boast about. Okay, cool. Won't have a whole lot of other options. We're just gonna have to win this the hard way. This is one of the good things about the other version of the deck that we played earlier, is having like an Amalia or the Bat, which we didn't see in that matchup, but having the Amalia and the Bat is really nice because you do get to like do the cool thing of being like, oh, okay, I'll hit you with my 9/9 then. Where here we have to throw the pesky creatures around, which is always hard. We'll see. We have to chip away the best we can. It's like blocking essentially does nothing, really. Like it does, but it doesn't, right? Like blocking with Screaming Nemesis does something. That's kind of a difference. But 1 and 1. I'll go to 8. I'll be able to chump block. So my life total's looking okay. Worst case, they draw like a lightning strike. Monstrous Rage is good, but I still don't think that covers it. It's just a scry. Sure, we'll leave that on top. I would like to make my board as big as possible. Following, for whatever reason, I thought I was drawing that card. I don't know why my brain thought that. Here are all these. I'll leave that on top. We'll just mill you. We're gonna mill you. We're gonna mill you. We're gonna mill you again. Archaeologist is gonna put him away anyway. But oh, we get a raised past. Sure. The only reason I really milled them is because they have flooded quite a bit, so there is a very high chance, like as we just saw, they have an actual, like a lot of actual spells on the stack. Also, can you imagine? I'm just gonna say done all this. I don't think there's a reason to. I wish there was like on MTGO you can right click and be like same for all triggers, so I could just be like, hey, no, we're good here. But I definitely have lethal on the board, I believe. You saw we milled them for what, 8? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. As you see, like 1 land in the next 8 cards. We went ahead and barreled them, and then hopefully they hit a land, because they already have 8 in play. Pretty much like anywhere between 18 to 22 lands is all they're going to be playing. But with that said, we come away with the win against Aggro, and the matchup we couldn't even gain life anymore. Very cool. It is possible to go super wide and win, but it's not likely. Thankfully, the matchup that requires you to do that doesn't have life gain itself, so. Okay, so here we are. This is where we ended up settling. Still, my webcam's in the way when I do this. I keep forgetting. But still 31 creatures there, so we're pretty fine when it comes to that. But playing the dew points and not having Wail, I might just be vulnerable to wanting to play Wail the Forgotten, which I should have put in my sideboard. I don't know why I didn't. And I like Wail a ton because it does give us that interaction we need in order to kind of keep up sometimes, or like whenever that Heartfire hero was massive, we can use this as kind of a bounce spell, or just a bounce spell in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be Wail, I guess, but Dew Point was also good. The problem is bringing in the Wail with the Dew Point, or Dewdrop. I keep calling it Dew Point, like the boiling point. So like, I don't know why, but Dewdrop is so sick. You can see I even called it Dew Point. I don't know why I did that, but sure. Outside of that, like, the Dewdrop is good. I don't necessarily love giving my opponent a card, especially whenever I'm kind of in those awkward spots where I'm like, well, I guess I got to do it. However, I do think if you're playing the Vermin, this one is a bit more of a necessity to play along with it. I think playing this card and hoping to hit the 4th land for the raise to pass, especially when we've dropped down to 21, I don't think it's a super reliable game plan. However, what I think is good is using this, but whenever you have that Gorehound that either entered or gets lost, or like the Freebooter enters or gets lost in terms of like getting removed from the play, Dewdrop allows us to bring those back and maybe get that extra value or get those extra scries to find the 4th land, which is nice. So it's kind of do if you don't, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Yeah, I don't know why that phrase was so hard for me to remember, but yeah, it was fine. I won with this, kind of. We didn't really do that, but is Amalia worth playing? I'm not sure. Maybe with Dewdrop it is. Like, maybe those threats are a bit more important to play if you are playing Dewdrop, because like Amalia gets removed pretty frequently, but if you're able to bring it back, it feels pretty good. And if I'm okay with kind of giving them a card if this situation is like Amalia enters, the Pilgrim happens, the Sanctificer happens, and we're good, right? Like, because then Amalia will have gained, they'll see each other enter in Amalia, so there'll be 4 life gain triggers on a stack. So essentially, Amalia entering is no different than the Archaeologist entering in that point, but Archaeologist is a lot different whenever we're just playing it generically. So it's a little weird. I do think if there's a cut, because I do love playing the blue, I would almost settle down on like keeping the Archaeologist, cutting this to 2 Amalias, and then maybe cut 2 by 1 to add like a couple Wails and just use that maybe to our advantage. I'm not entirely sure. This is one of the decks I love working on, but obviously a new set's coming up soon, so maybe we'll get more options there. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.